Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen Stonberg, the CEO of Bittrex Global. I'm so happy to be here with everyone today at the Global DeFi Investment Summit. Wish I could be there in person with all of you today. I'll be covering cryptocurrency as a tool for financial inclusion. So let's get started. Table of contents. So today we're going to talk a bit about Bittrex Global, just to set the stage of how we fit in. We'll talk about the problem that blockchain and exchanges like Bittrex are trying to solve, blockchain and cryptocurrencies as a solution to the problem, and the future. So first, a bit about Bittrex Global, what we call the Bittrex ecosystem. And you can see on the right, little pie chart. So the whole Bittrex ecosystem was founded in 2014. It was one of the first places where you could really trade cryptocurrency. The mission of the founders, and there's three founders that own the whole company that set it up, and they maintained ownership. They really wanted to help advance the blockchain industry by fostering innovation, incubating new and emerging technology, and driving transformative change with three core principles: innovation, security, and compliance. So you can see that Bittrex Global is an exchange. It's non-US customers only. There's a Bittrex US exchange, which has only US customers. Both are powered by what we call Bittrex technology, which is all based in the US in Seattle. There's exchange partners, which are exchanges which are not Bittrex branded, but that use Bittrex's technology and basically run off of our platform. So they license everything. And you can see the whole Bittrex ecosystem has quite a global presence. So you've got Bittrex Global GmbH is one of the companies that's operating in Liechtenstein with a trade license. And actually it's under the Blockchain Act and requires compliance with KYC, AML, CFT standards, and it's supervised by the Liechtenstein Financial Markets Authority. We also have a company called Bittrex Global in Bermuda, which holds a Class F license to operate as a digital asset derivatives exchange and provide custodial wallet services, and it's supervised by the Bermuda Monetary Authority. So those are the two regulated entities, and then we have offices all over the world, supporting our efforts. Features of our exchange: it's one of the most secure, robust, and easy to use regulated exchanges. Again, we're regulated. There's unregulated players that are easier to use, but if they don't ask you to do KYC and AML and they let you use an email address to log on, ask yourself, would you use a bank that allowed that? So on our exchange, you can purchase and trade 250 plus utility tokens. We support 120 plus different blockchains. We have US dollar and euro markets, credit card and debit card on-ramps, and SEPA support. We have advanced security protocols with an elastic multi-stage wallet strategy, ensures that most of our customer funds are kept in cold storage, backed by outside insurance policies. There's superior trading experience with our custom-built high-speed matching engine. We have web, iOS, Android app accessibility, and we have new REST and socket API interfaces focused on speed and reliability for traders and application builders. So what is the problem? Financial inclusion. And the problem is global, and it's nothing to do with blockchain. It's pre-existing. Blockchain is just helping facilitate solving it. So, and I think what's interesting is, financial inclusion isn't just a problem in the developing world. It is a global problem. So 1 out of 3 people in the world are unbanked, and the source is the World Bank. 2 billion people do not have access to financial tools to protect, grow, and plan their finances. 22% of Americans are unbanked or underbanked. And that's the Federal Reserve as a source. And 3 billion people had no financial safety net during the pandemic. That's from Oxfam. These are pretty interesting and scary figures. So how do we solve this? Well, it's going to be technology, because clearly the traditional banks and financial players have allowed this system to evolve like this. With technology, we have mobile phones, and they're a gateway to financial inclusion. So they're facilitating payments and services. Of the 2 billion unbanked adults, around 2/3 have mobile phones, right? They may not be able to go to a bank branch, but they have a mobile phone. And financial services can be provided to the unbanked through mobile phones and the internet. So we have some global use cases. Mobile usage has already helped bring financial services to the unbanked or underbanked. So you have in Kenya a service called M-Pesa, and the M-Pesa mobile payment system allows Kenyans to send money, pay their bills, and make withdrawals from physical ATMs, all directly from their mobile phones. And the M-Pesa network has over 40 million users and expanded to 7 countries in Africa. Yuebao in China, so that's Alipay users can place their money, a minimum of 1 RMB or 15 cents into a money market fund that returns significantly higher rates than those provided by banks. And 588 million people have placed their spare savings into a Yuebao account, once making it the world's largest money market fund, beating out JP Morgan and Fidelity. That's pretty amazing. So you have blockchain and cryptocurrencies. How does that fit in and overlay onto this sort of mobile tech? Cryptocurrencies are growing in appeal, and they've had higher adoption rates in developing countries. Why is that? Well, in those countries, and I think the US is unfortunately going in this direction, they don't have a lot of faith in their central banks, and they don't want to keep money in their own local currency where the central bank is printing money, there's no security, there's no safety, and the value of that currency can just plummet, which is, usually one of the side effects of inflation, which we're now starting to see in the developed world. So in the case of Nigeria, 1 out of every 3 Nigerian adults uses cryptocurrency for everything, from buying and selling goods and services to sending money to family and friends abroad. High rates of adoption have been recorded all over the developing world, from Vietnam and Turkey to South Africa. And some of the benefits of having access to financial services, which again, they can get through these crypto apps and maybe not through their local bank online. They can safeguard their assets, grow assets, and they can share assets. Many different types of cryptocurrencies can help in safeguarding your assets. So we would look at the Nigerian naira, that's the local currency. Look at the valuation. So obviously, as this chart goes up, you can see that it's costing more naira to buy a dollar. So it used to be 250 naira to the dollar, and now it's 400. So the currency's almost lost half of its value in dollar terms. So that's not good. So if you had Bitcoin, obviously, not only did it not lose value, it went up in value, or some other cryptocurrency. And again, it's all jokes aside. I mean, US inflation is down 10%. So, in real terms, your dollars are going down a lot. So maybe you shouldn't keep your money even in US dollars. It's not as bad as the Naira, but it's still not this safe protector of assets. If you're earning 2% in interest or 1%, but the thing's going down in value 10%, that means you're out 9% in real terms, right? So even Americans are starting to think this way. But the cryptocurrencies and stable coins can now act as a function as a safer way to protect your assets. Nigerians lost 50% of the value of their naira since 2016, and keeping assets in stable coins like USDC, or even better, Bitcoin, can safeguard assets. So again, more global use cases. Cryptocurrencies can safeguard assets in a global crisis. So Lebanon. Lebanon's lost 90% of its currency value since 2019. 90%. The currency is the Lebanese pound. 50% of the country now lives below the poverty line, especially in real world adjusted terms. But use of crypto in Lebanon could be a game changer for the country, especially one that depends on remittances from abroad. Same thing in Venezuela, which is everyone's favorite one to discuss about hyperinflation. 2018, the Venezuelan central bank devalued the currency by 95%. They have to keep issuing new banknotes and chopping off the zeros. Crypto adoption in Venezuela is one of the highest in the world. Again, this makes sense in countries where the people have completely lost faith in the central bank and the government. Crypto is used to send remittances, protect wages from inflation, and help businesses manage cash flow. You can grow your wealth with cryptocurrencies. So blockchain and cryptocurrencies can be used to grow wealth. So this on the right is sort of what a bank would call a diversified portfolio. So you don't have to have all of your assets sitting in Bitcoin or Ethereum. You can use tokens, and there are tokens that represent gold. There are tokens that represent tokenized stocks, like tokenized Apple and Google. So you can have a representation of Google stock in a token in your crypto and blockchain account. USDT or US dollar Tether or US dollar USDC are tokenized versions of a US dollar. And you can have altcoins, gold. So there's lots of ways you can have what looks like a traditional investment portfolio all represented through tokens. And that's how blockchain is really innovating, especially people who never had access to these assets before at all. This is the first time they can even get asset exposure, and they can do it in tiny fractions. So investing as little as a few dollars. Maybe you're from a very poor country, your whole investment portfolio is $10 or $50, but you can have a diversified portfolio with $50. You could never do that on a fee adjusted basis in sort of the banking world or the brokerage world. And now we have another topic called DeFi, or decentralized finance, and that's also driving financial inclusion. So what is DeFi? DeFi is a new way to execute financial transactions where the traditional institutions and intermediaries are completely cut out due to blockchain. And how can it help financial inclusion? Well, decentralized exchanges allow access to more types of financial assets. There's decentralized lending. There's no middleman. You get fairer loans and better rates. And staking and yield farming gives you high returns on assets like stablecoins. And DeFi has grown at a really fast pace. You can see in 2020, the whole DeFi market was less than $1 billion globally. And within a year, and I'm sure it's grown even more since, the May 2021, it was 85 billion in total value. And that's an incredible growth in 12 months. So some global use cases, decentralized finance could really be the way to grow financial inclusion in developing countries. So there's a company in Nigeria called Zend Finance. So Nigerian startup Zend uses decentralized finance to address currency devaluation. We talked about the Naira. The decentralized platform supports credit unions to lend to new clients outside their geographical areas while also providing decentralized insurance to the credit unions to protect against defaults. So again, you're starting to see new startups using blockchain competing with very inefficient, old-fashioned systems that have no incentive to change. And you're going to really start to see an upending of remittances and cross-border payments. So again, a lot of these developing regions, people leave, they go to developed places to work, like the UAE or the US or Canada, and then they remit all of the earnings back to the country that they came from, to their families. So, but the problem now with traditional systems like Western Union, they take massive percentage of these people's hard-earned money. It's really unfair. So they get penalized. It's like a tax. With blockchain, though, and instead of sending money through like fiat currency, like dollars through Western Union or some other sort of service or a bank, you can use blockchain. And that gives you lower transaction fees and faster settlement times. Remember, it takes 3 days to wire money in 2021 from a bank in the US to a bank in Europe, which is quite a racket they have going, right? Greater options for recipients. Funds can be withdrawn in Bitcoin, dollars, or local currency. The World Bank estimates the remittances will reach $597 billion by 2021, and sending remittance costs an average of almost 7% of the remittance amount. That's a huge amount of money that's being leaked. That's 40 billion a year. Global use cases, and this is one of my favorite, El Salvador. So little El Salvador is the first country to take steps to use cryptocurrencies as a basis for remittances. So El Salvador, and I think the law was enacted September 7th, has made Bitcoin legal tender. It's considered a currency in El Salvador. What's interesting about El Salvador is more than 20% of the population lives in poverty. 70% of the population is unbanked. And more than 20% of the country's GDP consists of remittances from abroad. So poor El Salvadorans go and work in the US or somewhere else and send the money home. So, the World Bank, the IMF, the State Department, none of the powers that be like this disruptive thing to happen, even though their awful failed policies have caused the country to be in poverty, which is rather ironic. So, kudos to them. And I think we're going to start to see more countries doing this and throwing off the yokes of these central banks and money printers and horrible, this system that's sort of rigged to maintain itself, to maintain profits for the owners, and really, the people using it suffer. So in the case of El Salvador, again, we saw in June 2021, they passed the law, which just went into effect September 7th, to accept Bitcoin as legal tender, and it's going to leverage the Bitcoin Lightning Network via a company called Strike, which Bittrex works very closely with, and we're very proud to do so, to greatly reduce the costs and increase efficiencies with remittances. So right now in El Salvador, using Strike, you can use Bitcoin and pay for things everywhere in retail stores. So very interesting. But progress will take time. And again, we talked about the World Bank and IMF. They're driven by the concept of structural adjustments and a series of reforms that include reduced government spending, increased taxes, and opening up free trade. But the World Bank has rejected El Salvador requests for Bitcoin help. Why is that? Because all of the bond covenants that the World Bank has, if by El Salvador doing this, de facto, the World Bank has to accept now Bitcoin. And again, this is hugely disruptive. So they didn't want this, or they wanted it on their time frame, not on the time frame that was good for the El Salvadorans. So, countries are seeking, loans or assistance from the World Bank, they're going to get punished for doing this, and they're going to hold back. So you're going to start to see that if you actually try to do something to help yourself, you'll get punished if you go against the powers that be. So again, really interesting for El Salvador. I give them a lot of credit for doing this and trying to fix the problem and taking on some of the biggest, most powerful institutions in the world. I think what's going to happen, though, a lot more countries are already talking about adopting this, and they won't be able to stop everybody. So some final thoughts. I think that, again, blockchain is hugely disruptive. It's going to be very helpful for financial inclusion. I think the internet we've seen has had massive help in sort of making things accessible. Mobile phones have obviously, and then having the internet on a mobile phone gives people all over the world access to fintech solutions. And now crypto and blockchain are sort of forcing the financial services industry and every other industry to really open up, but specifically in financial services, which they were happy to be able to keep their inefficient systems, use the internet to access more customers, but why change them? Because they have high fees. But for the first time ever, you're starting to see with blockchain a parallel settlement system that's going to force these financial institutions, whether they like it or not. If they don't do it, the upstart will take the money and offer innovation to some of the poorest people on earth that need financial inclusion. So really looking forward to, again, we like innovative things, especially if they offer inclusion and help the world. And we're very happy as Bittrex to play our small part in that. Thank you.